Like, how did you stumble upon spirituality? Because
I actually love all religions, and when I was little, my parents were very anti-religion. And so they used to say to me, imagine saying to a 9-year-old kid, as Karl Marx said, religion is the opiate of the masses. And they really told me that people who are uneducated believed in religion. And they won't say that now because now they're converted, but back at the time, they were in their 20s, what did they know, right? And so in the summertime, I would stay with my grandparents, and my grandfather always went to church, and I would sneak with him off to church. Nobody else wanted to go. I always wanted to go. I loved the smell of the frankincense. At that time, the Bible was still, that particular church used Latin Bible. I was just so mystified by all it, and I could feel the energy. And then when I got to Brown University, where I went to undergraduate, when I was 17, I skipped a grade, so I went early. The very first class I took was Introduction to Eastern Religions.
wow.
And the very first day, the teacher had just come back from a year-long sabbatical in India, and she showed us a film. It was a documentary on Varanasi, where people go for pilgrimage, and you wash in the river, and I was just fascinated. You have like these ghats on the river, right? These platforms on the river. This fire that's been burning for thousands of years. Yep. And it just went right to my essence, and I'm like, oh, this is where it's at. In that class we studied Hinduism, we studied Buddhism, Zen Buddhism, and I fell in love with all the religions. I was amazed by this book called Darshan, like seeing the divine in India. And I read it cover to cover, and I was like, okay, this guy, even though I didn't understand half of it, I was like, this person understands what's going on, and I need to understand this. I was fascinated, and my sophomore year at Brown, I told my parents I want to take a year off and go live in a monastery in Japan. And my mother said, are you kidding? You're 18 years old. I wouldn't waste my life. And I was thinking, that's not wasting my life. I would see the monastery, and there's some part of me that just wanted to be there. Anyway, fast forward, I would have really, majored in religious studies if my parents had allowed me. And I know some people, Americans, do whatever they want, but in an Asian household, you don't have that freedom, right? So I was like, okay, I will major in economics, but I will study as much religious studies as I can, and I will still meditate and do all this on the side. And then I fell in love with Tibetan Buddhism at some point, and I started going to all the teachings and getting all the blessings from the High Lamas.